In the era where the clouds of the immortal realm brushed against the mountain peaks of the mortal world, one name struck awe into the hearts of gods and men alike: Xie Lianhe. As the supreme sword cultivator of the Kunlun Heights, his power was absolute. It was said his blade could split the heavens, yet his heart belonged to a woman without a lick of spiritual power, a mortal herbalist named Lin Shaoran. The sky above the immortal sanctuary was usually a serene gold, but today, it bled crimson. Xie Lianhe stood in the center of the Jade Square, his white robe stained with a terrifying amount of blood. In his arms, he cradled the limp body of Shaoran. "Stay with me," Lianhe whispered, his voice cracking, a sound the world had never heard from the invincible immortal. "Shaoran, look at me. The spiritual herbs. I will find them. I will raid the heavens if I have to." Shaoran reached up, her fingers trembling as she touched his cheek. Her breath was a shallow rattle. "Lianhe, don't hate them. It's too heavy a burden for a heart as beautiful as yours. They poisoned you." Lianhe roared, his spiritual pressure exploding outward, cracking the jade floor beneath them. The great elders stood at a distance, their faces cold and unrepentant. "She was a stain on your path to divinity, Lianhe." Elder Zhao shouted. "We did this for the balance of the realms." Balance. Lianhe's eyes turned a haunting, abyssal black. If the world cannot hold her, then the world has no reason to exist. As Shaoran's hand fell lifelessly from his face, a scream tore from his throat, a sound so filled with grief that the very foundations of the immortal realm began to crumble. He unsheathed his sword, the Moon Slayer, ready to turn the sanctuary into a graveyard. Enough. A soft but commanding light descended. Elder Qing, the eldest of the kindred spirits, stepped between Lianhe and the terrified conspirators. With a wave of his hand, he bound the elders in chains of light. "Lianhe, look at her," Qing said softly. "Do you think she wants to return to a world of ash?" "She is gone," Lianhe sobbed, clutching her cold body. "There is nothing left." "Not forever," Qing countered. He stepped forward and placed a small, translucent stone, the spirit-seeking jade, into Lianhe's palm. Her soul was pure. "It has entered the cycle of reincarnation. One day, she will return. When you are within 1 meter of her reincarnated soul, this stone will glow with the warmth of her heart." Lianhe looked at the stone, his eyes wide with desperate hope. "How long? Time is a river, my son. You must wait for the tide to bring her back." 800 years pass. The world did not stay still. The immortal realm slowly withdrew from the sight of men. Spiritual energy faded, replaced by the smoke of industry and the glow of neon lights. The majestic palaces of Kunlun became myths, then legends, then whispers forgotten by history. The year 2026. The city of Shanghai roared with the sound of maglev trains and digital billboards. Among the sea of people in business suits and hoodies walked a man who looked like he belonged in a historical painting. Xie Lianhe, now known simply as Mr. Xie to his few acquaintances, stood on a glass balcony overlooking the Bund. His long hair was now cut short in a modern style, and he wore a sleek, charcoal-gray trench coat. But beneath his shirt, resting against his chest, was the spirit-seeking jade. For 8 centuries, he had tested thousands. He had visited every village in the Qing dynasty, every battlefield of the Republic, and every skyscraper of the modern era. He had approached countless women, hoping for a spark, a glow, a sign. Nothing. He pulled the stone from his collar. It was cold and dim, as it had been for 800 years. "Where are you?" he murmured, his voice weary. "The world has forgotten how to fly, Shaoran. They have forgotten the gods. But I am still here. I am still waiting." He stepped into the crowded street, his immortality hidden behind a mask of cold indifference. He was a ghost in a world of machines, a god waiting for a girl who had been dead for nearly a millennium. He didn't know that fate was a fickle weaver, and that the soul he was looking for might not look exactly the way he remembered. The neon lights of modern-day Shanghai flickered, casting long shadows that reminded Xie Lianhe of the ancient forests he once roamed. As the CEO of the Xie Lianhe group, he was a titan of industry, but his heart remained trapped in the tomb of the past. It was the night of the Mid-Autumn Festival. The streets were a chaotic sea of tourists, street food stalls, and glowing paper lanterns. Leon moved through the crowd like a silent predator, his hand constantly clutching the stone beneath his silk shirt. He had approached 3 women that evening. One was a soft-spoken teacher, another, a vibrant artist. Each time, the stone remained as cold as a pebble in a winter stream. Still nothing, he muttered, his eyes dark with a grief that 8 centuries couldn't drown. Ching, did you lie to me? Suddenly, his chest burned. A faint, golden light began to bleed through the fabric of his shirt. Leon froze. His heart, which had barely beaten with emotion for centuries, thundered against his ribs. The stone wasn't just glowing, it was pulsing. Shaoran, he gasped, spinning around. There were dozens of women within a few meters, a girl taking a selfie, a woman holding a child, a grandmother selling sweets. He rushed toward them, his presence so overbearing that people scrambled out of his way. But as he moved toward a group of young women, the light dimmed. He turned back toward the main thoroughfare, and it flared bright again. Where? Which one of you? He demanded, his voice echoing with the authority of an ancient god. But the crowd was shifting too fast. A tour group moved between him and the source, and just as quickly as it had begun, the glow faded into a dull, agonizing flicker. She had been there. His soulmate was in this city. A week later, the Xie Lianhe group headquarters was in a state of high tension. It was the day of the final interviews for the CEO's executive assistant, a position that paid enough to retire on, but came with a boss rumored to be made of ice. Su Mingyu was running late. Very late. With a stack of resumes in one hand and a half-eaten baozi in the other, Mingyu sprinted through the marble lobby. He was handsome in a chaotic way, bright eyes, messy black hair, and a tie that looked like it had been tied during an earthquake. Out of the way. Important business. Future billionaire coming through. Mingyu yelled, skidding around a corner toward the private elevators. At that exact moment, the elevator doors slid open. Xie Lianhe stepped out, surrounded by a phalanx of terrified directors. Bam! Mingyu slammed head first into Lianhe's broad, iron-firm chest. The baozi flew through the air, landing perfectly on a director's expensive leather shoe. Mingyu stumbled back, his heels slipping on the polished floor. Leon, moving with the preternatural reflexes of a cultivator, reached out and caught the young man by the waist, pulling him flush against his body to prevent the fall. For a second, the lobby went silent. Leon looked down, expecting a terrified apology. Are you blind? Mingyu barked, shoving Lianhe's hands away and frantically straightening his rumpled suit. Do you have any idea how much this suit cost to rent? And look at my baozi. That was my breakfast. The directors gasped. One fainted. Leon blinked, stunned. You ran into me. And you're built like a brick wall. Why are you standing in the middle of the hallway like a decorative statue? Mingyu pointed an accusing finger at Lianhe's chest. Because of your sturdy ego, I'm going to be late for my interview with the Ice King CEO. If I don't get this job, I'm sending you the bill for my therapy. Without waiting for a response, Mingyu scrambled past him and vanished into the elevator. Leon stood frozen. He wasn't angry. He was terrified. Beneath his shirt, the spirit-seeking jade was screaming. It wasn't just glowing, it was vibrating with a heat so intense it felt like it was melting into his skin. It's him. A man. A loud, rude, baozi-eating man. Sir. His vice president, Chen Wei, whispered. Should I have security remove him? No, Leon choked out. He turned and bolted, not toward the board room, but back to his private sanctuary on the top floor. He slammed the door and locked it. Reaching into the air, he traced a burning sigil with his finger. The space rippled, and the ghostly image of Elder Qing appeared in the smoke of incense. Elder! Leon shouted, his voice trembling. The stone, it reacted. But it's a mistake. It's a man. A mortal man with no grace, no manners, and a terrible temper. The spirit of the elder smiled enigmatically, his long white beard flowing in a phantom wind. Leon, did I ever say the soul would wear the same clothes? Or the same skin? A soul is a river, it takes the shape of the vessel it inhabits. But I am a traditional man. Leon paced the room, his long hidden spiritual energy flickering like lightning around his fingers. I loved Shaoran. She was gentle. She was a woman. She was a soul that matched yours, Qing corrected. In this life, that soul needed strength and a sharp tongue to survive. Will you turn your back on her, on him, just because the vessel has changed? Leon looked at the stone. It was still warm, humming with the unmistakable frequency of the love he had chased for 800 years. He called me a decorative statue, Leon whispered, horrified. Then I suggest, the elder chuckled as the image faded, that you go and interview your soulmate before he sues you for his breakfast. Leon straightened his tie, his face a mask of conflict. He was the Supreme Cultivator, a man of ancient honor, and he was about to go into a room to face the man who was apparently his reincarnated wife. The glass doors of the Xie Lianhe group boardroom felt like the gates of a divine judgment. Inside, the air conditioning was set to a temperature that could preserve a mammoth, matching the frosty expression of the man sitting at the head of the table. Su Mingyu stood behind the mahogany door, clutching his damp resume. He had spent the last 5 minutes in the restroom trying to scrub a small splotch of baozi filling off his sleeve. Okay, Mingyu. Deep breaths, he whispered to himself. You need this job. You have rent to pay. You have a cat to feed. Just walk in, smile like a professional, and don't mention the brick wall, man. The heavy door creaked open. Mingyu marched in, his face fixed in a blinding, desperate grin. Good morning, esteemed board of. The words died in his throat. His soul nearly left his body. There, sitting in a throne-like leather chair, was the man from the hallway. Xie Lianhe. The decorative statue. The brick wall. The man Mingyu had just told to seek therapy. Leon didn't move. He leaned back, his sharp, immortal eyes tracking Mingyu like a hawk watching a particularly clumsy rabbit. On his desk, hidden from everyone else, the spirit-seeking jade was practically screaming, vibrating so hard the pens on the desk were rattling. This, Leon thought, his eye twitching. This loud, messy creature is the reincarnation of my ethereal, graceful Shaoran. She used to play the zither and paint peonies. This boy looks like he fell out of a tree and landed in a suit. Mr. Su, Leon said, his voice a low, dangerous rumble. I believe we have unfinished business regarding my sturdy ego. Mingyu's knees buckled, but he caught himself. He transitioned his shock into a deep, 90-degree bow, so fast he almost hit his head on the table. President Xie. General Manager Xie. God of Industry. Mingyu shouted, his voice cracking. What a coincidence. What a beautiful stroke of fate. When I saw you in the hallway, I was actually performing a traditional theatrical exercise to test your legendary patience. And sir, your patience is divine. Truly, a mountain of a man. Leon stared. You called me a brick wall. A metaphor, sir. Mingyu laughed nervously, sweat beading on his forehead. A brick wall represents stability. Security. The foundation of our great city. I was praising your core strength. The other directors looked at each other, baffled. Leon leaned forward, resting his chin on his interlaced fingers. Sit down, Mr. Su. Convince me why a walking destroyer, like yourself should be my personal secretary. Mingyu scrambled into the chair. Well, sir, I am highly organized. I have a system for everything. As he reached for his portfolio to show his certificates, his elbow caught a glass of expensive sparkling water sitting on the edge of the desk. Clatter. The water didn't just spill, it launched itself across the desk, soaking a stack of multi-million-dollar contracts. Oh, my heavens. I'm so sorry. Mingyu shrieked. He lunged forward with his handkerchief, trying to mop up the water, but in his panic, his chair rolled backward. He grabbed the edge of the heavy mahogany desk to steady himself, but instead, he accidentally swiped a decorative, 1,000-year-old jade vase, a relic Leon had kept from his own era. No, no, no. Mingyu dived for the vase. He caught it, but in the process, he accidentally kicked the power cord of Lianhe's high-end computer setup. Zap. Pop. Darkness. The entire boardroom went silent as the monitors died. The only thing glowing in the room was the spirit-seeking jade under Lianhe's shirt, pulsing with a frantic, golden light that seemed to be laughing at him. Lianhe's aura began to leak out. A cold wind whipped through the closed room. The directors shivered, sensing the Ice King was about to erupt. Mr. Su, Leon said, his voice terrifyingly calm. Sir, I can fix it. I know a guy who does IT. And I have some superglue for the. Mingyu held up the vase, which now had a small chip in the rim. Get out. But the interview. Security. Leon roared, his voice echoing like a thunderclap from the heavens. 2 massive guards entered the room. Mingyu didn't even wait for them to grab him. He grabbed his resume and bolted for the door, but he tripped over the rug on his way out, performing a spectacular somersault before disappearing into the hallway. Leon stood by the window, watching from the 50th floor as a tiny, disheveled figure, Su Mingyu, was marched out of the building by security and dumped on the sidewalk. It's impossible, Leon whispered, clutching the glowing stone. It's a glitch. The stone is broken. Chen Wei, his assistant, walked in cautiously. Sir, do you want me to blacklist him from the industry? Leon looked at the stone. It was still warm. It felt happy. It felt like the soul inside that chaotic boy was laughing at him, teasing him, just as Shaoran used to do 800 years ago when she hid his cultivation manuals. No, Leon sighed, rubbing his temples. Don't blacklist him. In fact, find out where he lives. I need to know why my destiny has decided to play such a cruel, noisy joke on me. On the street below, Mingyu shook his fist at the skyscraper. Fine, keep your stupid job. I didn't want to work for a decorative statue, anyway. He turned to walk away, accidentally stepping into a puddle and splashing his own trousers. I hate today, he yelled at the sky. Leon, watching from above, felt a strange, long-forgotten spark in his chest. It wasn't the love he remembered, but it was certainly something. The sun dipped below the skyline, but the fires of fury were just beginning to cook in Xie Lianhe's immortal chest. He sat in his office, staring at the chipped jade vase. 800 years, he muttered to the empty room. I waited through dynasties. I survived the fall of empires. I maintained my dignity as the Supreme Sword Cultivator. And for what? To be splashed with sparkling water by a boy who can't even walk in a straight line. He pulled out the spirit-seeking jade. It was practically doing a celebratory dance, glowing a cheerful, mocking gold. You think this is funny? Leon hissed at the stone. You think he is her? The stone pulsed once, warmly. Fine, Leon snapped, throwing on his designer trench coat. I will prove you wrong. I will observe him from a distance. I will see his inner soul, and prove that he is just a mortal disaster with no connection to my Shaoran. Leon didn't need a GPS, he could track the soul scent of the stone. It led him to a cramped, noisy neighborhood filled with street food smoke and tangled power lines. He found Su Mingyu at a small, outdoor noodle stall. Mingyu was currently mid-argument with a stray cat over a piece of fish cake. Listen, Mr. Whiskers, Mingyu said, pointing a chopstick at the tabby. I lost my job today. I am the victim here. You have a fur coat, I have a red notice. This fish cake is mine. The cat hissed. Mingyu hissed back. Leon watched from behind a telephone pole, looking like a high-fashion spy. Shaoran loved animals, Leon thought smugly. She would have shared her entire meal. See, the stone is definitely malfunctioning. Just then, Mingyu sighed and dropped the fish cake. Fine, you win. Eat it. We can be losers together. He reached out and scratched the cat behind the ears with a look of such genuine, soft-hearted sweetness that Lianhe's heart skipped a beat. The stone in Lianhe's pocket flared white-hot. Distraction, Leon whispered to himself. A mere coincidence. Mingyu finished his noodles and began walking toward his apartment. Leon followed, using his cultivation to mask his presence, or so he thought. Modern cities had many traps for ancient immortals. As Mingyu turned into a dark alley, Leon leapt gracefully onto a dumpster to get a better vantage point. But 800 years of training didn't prepare him for the fact that this specific dumpster had been freshly oiled. Slide. Lianhe's expensive Italian loafers lost their grip. The Supreme Cultivator did a slow-motion, undignified split across the lid of the trash bin. Clang. Who's there? Mingyu whirled around, brandishing his umbrella like a sword. I have a black belt in watching action movies. Come out. Leon froze. He was currently stuck in a semi-split on a pile of garbage bags. He tried to vanish, but the spirit-seeking jade chose that exact moment to emit a high-pitched, harmonic ping sound. Mingyu approached the dumpster, squinting. Wait, is that a trench coat? A very expensive trench coat. He poked the figure with his umbrella. President Xie, is that you? Leon slowly stood up, trying to shake a banana peel off his shoulder while maintaining the dignity of a god. I was inspecting the local infrastructure. Xie Lianhe Group is considering a waste management initiative. Mingyu stared at him. Then he looked at the dumpster. Then back at the CEO. You were stalking me, Mingyu yelled, his voice echoing through the alley. First you kick me out, then you follow me into a trash can. What is this? Is this some rich person prank? Is there a hidden camera? I do not prank. Leon barked, his face flushing a rare shade of red. I am a man of high social standing. You're a weirdo, Mingyu countered. A handsome, rich, dumpster diving weirdo. Are you obsessed with me? Do you want your Bowsy back that badly? Silence, boy. Leon stepped off the dumpster, trying to regain his aura of power. I came to offer you a second chance. My company values persistence. Persistence. You saw me fall over a rug and decided, yeah, that's the guy the first want near my expensive vases. Mingyu crossed his arms. I don't believe you. You're up to something. You want to harvest my organs, don't you? I have no interest in your subpar organs. Leon shouted. Then prove it. Mingyu pointed to his apartment building. My sink is leaking, my light bulb is dead, and I can't reach the top shelf. If you're so interested in local infrastructure, come fix my kitchen. Then I'll believe you're not a serial killer. Leon felt a vein throb in his temple. Me, the man who once mended the cracks in the sky. Fixing a sink. But the stone was practically vibrating through his ribs. Go, it seemed to say. See his home. Fine, Leon hissed. Lead the way, you walking catastrophe. 10 minutes later, the Supreme Cultivator was under a cramped sink, his $5,000 coat discarded on a chair that Mingyu warned might have a loose leg. More to the left, Mr. CEO. Mingyu shouted, eating a bag of chips while leaning against the counter. You're a brick wall, remember. Use those muscles. If you do not stop talking, Lianhe's muffled voice came from under the pipes, I will seal your vocal cords with a drop of water. Ooh, scary. What are you going to do? Cultivate the plumbing. Mingyu laughed. Leon grabbed a wrench, a tool he barely understood, and gave a pipe a firm twist. Creak. Kaboom. The pipe didn't just leak, it exploded. A jet of cold water hit Leon squarely in the face. He scrambled out from under the sink, drenched, gasping, and looking like a drowned cat. Mingyu stood there, frozen, his mouth full of chips. Then, he started to shake. A snort escaped. Then a wheeze. Finally, a full-blown, hysterical roar of laughter. Mingyu pointed at the dripping CEO. The Ice King. You look like a wet mop. Oh my god, this is the best day of my life. Leon wiped the water from his eyes. He should have been furious. He should have leveled the building. But as he looked at Mingyu, who was laughing so hard he had to hold onto the counter to stay upright, he saw a flash. For a split second, the image of Shaoran appeared. She wasn't a soft, gentle woman in that memory. She was a girl who had once pushed Leon into a lotus pond because he was being too serious. Her laugh had sounded exactly like this. The stone didn't just glow. It sang. Leon stayed on the floor, soaked and humiliated, but for the first time in 800 years, he didn't feel lonely. You're a mess, Su Mingyu, Leon whispered, a tiny, almost invisible smile tugging at his lips. And you're a disaster, Xie Lianhe. Mingyu wheezed, throwing a dish towel at his head. Now get up and help me mop, or we're both going to need swimming lessons. The next morning, the Xie Lianhe Group headquarters was rocked by an announcement that defied all logic, physics, and corporate sanity. Su Mingyu, the man who had deactivated the CEO's office and assaulted a director with a steamed bun, was officially hired as the chief executive assistant. Xie Lianhe sat in his restored office, watching through the glass partition. He had a headache that even immortality couldn't cure. "I am doing this for research," he told the glowing stone on his desk. "I will observe him until the soul admits it has made a mistake." Within 4 hours, the Ice King's fortress of silence was breached. Normally, the 50th floor was so quiet you could hear a spider sneeze. Now, it sounded like a wet market during a festival. Mingyu didn't just walk into the office, he tumbled in, carrying 3 boxes of extra-large pizzas and several bags of Lucky Cat boba tea. "All right, listen up, my fellow corporate prisoners," Mingyu shouted, slamming the pizzas down on the $200,000 reception desk. "The king is in his counting house, but the peasants are hungry. Free food courtesy of, well, me, but I'm going to expense it to office supplies." Chen Wei, the vice president who had spent 10 years trying to be Lianhe's favorite, looked horrified. "Mr. Su, we do not eat carbohydrates on this floor. It distracts from the synergy. Synergy is just a fancy word for, I'm grumpy because I skipped lunch, Chen. Mingyu shoved a slice of pepperoni pizza into the vice president's hand. "Eat. It has pineapple. It'll change your life." Lianhe stepped out of his office, ready to roar, but stopped dead. His head of legal, a woman known for suing people for breathing too loudly, was currently wearing a paper crown from a fast food joint and laughing while Mingyu showed her a video of a goat shouting like a human. "Mr. Su," Lianhe's voice dropped the temperature of the room by 10 degrees. Mingyu turned, unbothered, his cheek bulging with boba pearls. "Oh, boss. Perfect timing. Your office was too, I don't know, vampire aesthetic. I fixed it." "You fixed it." Lianhe walked into his office. His minimalist, black and white workspace was gone. In its place were 3 desk plants that looked like Venus flytraps, a world's best boss mug with a cartoon duck on it, and a giant, fuzzy yellow cushion on his executive chair. "It supports the lumbar," Mingyu shouted from the doorway. "You're 800, I mean, you're an old soul, boss. You need the fluff." "Everyone into the conference room," Lianhe hissed, clutching his world's best boss mug as if he wanted to crush it into atoms. "We have a merger to discuss." The meeting was a disaster from the first minute. Mingyu was tasked with taking notes. Instead, he had opened the group chat for the entire company. "As you can see on the screen," Lianhe said, pointing to a graph of market shares. Suddenly, a notification popped up on the giant projector. Su_Mingyu_official. Look at his eyebrows. If they get any closer together, they're going to form a single superpower. Head_of_legal lol. He looks like he's trying to calculate the end of the world. VP_Chen_Wei. Pass the pizza, I'm hiding it under the table. The entire boardroom erupted into muffled snorts. Lianhe turned slowly toward Mingyu, who was typing furiously. "Mr. Su," Lianhe whispered, "is there something you'd like to share with the class?" "Just taking minutes, sir," Mingyu squeaked, accidentally hitting the send button on a sticker of a dancing cat that covered the entire 5-year revenue projection. Lianhe closed his eyes. He reached for his inner peace, the zen he had practiced on the mountain peaks of Kunlun. He is showering. He is. "Boss, don't make that face," Mingyu said, walking over and actually, God's forbid, patting the CEO on the shoulder. "You're getting a wrinkle right here." He poked the space between Lianhe's eyebrows. The room went silent. You could hear the heartbeat of a mouse 3 floors down. No one touched the Ice King. No one. Lianhe looked at the finger touching his forehead. Then he looked at Mingyu's wide, sparkling eyes, so full of life, mischief, and a complete lack of fear. It was the exact look Shaoran gave him when she used to replace his meditation tea with spicy soup. The spirit-seeking jade in his pocket didn't just glow, it felt like it was purring. "Su Mingyu," Lianhe said, his voice unusually soft. "Yes, oh great pillar of industry. If you ever touch my eyebrows again, I will make you file the physical archives in the basement, by candlelight. Deal. Mingyu grinned, undeterred. By the way, I accidentally ordered 50, lucky cat, statues for the lobby. They waved their paws. It's good for the synergy. By 6 p.m., the office was a changed place. The employees weren't scuttling away in fear, they were actually talking to each other. Chen Wei was seen smiling. The legal department was humming. Leon stood at his window, watching the city lights. Mingyu was at his new desk just outside the glass, currently struggling to put a stapler back together after he tried to see how it worked. Elder Qing, Leon murmured into the air. I think I understand now. You didn't just send her back to me. You sent me the one person who could make me feel human again in this cold, metallic world. Mingyu suddenly looked up, caught Lianhe's eye, and gave a goofy, two-handed wave. Leon didn't wave back, he had a reputation to maintain, but as he turned away, he took a sip from the duck mug. The tea is actually quite good, he admitted to the empty room. The modern tranquility of the Xie Lianhe group was about to be shattered, not by a falling boba tea, but by a shadow from the ancient past. Xie Lianhe was in the middle of a high-stakes board meeting when he felt it, a ripple in the spiritual veil. It was a cold, oily energy he hadn't felt in 8 centuries. It smelled of stagnant water and old grudges. Boss, you okay? You've got your, I'm about to smite a mountain face on again, Su Mingyu whispered, leaning over and loudly slurping the last of his taro milk tea. Quiet, Mingyu, Leon hissed, his eyes darting to the door. Something foul is approaching. The elevator dinged. The doors slid open to reveal a man dressed in a suit so sharp it looked like it could draw blood. He was tall, pale, and carried a cane topped with a silver serpent. This was Xie Lianhe, once the second genius of the Immortal Realm, who had been exiled 800 years ago for his obsession with dark cultivation, and for his jealousy of Leon. Xie Lianhe, Lianhe sneered, his voice sounding like dry parchment rubbing together. Still playing, King of the Mortals. You've traded your sword for a necktie. How pathetic. Leon stood up, his aura flaring so brightly that the light bulbs in the room flickered. Xie Lianhe, I should have turned you into spirit dust when I had the chance. The board members stared in confusion. President Xie, is this a hostile takeover? Chen Wei asked, trembling. It's a hostile everything, Lianhe laughed. He pointed his cane at Leon. I've spent centuries gathering power in the shadows. Today, I take everything you love, starting with this pathetic company. Mingyu, who had been watching this like a Netflix drama, suddenly stood up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hang on, Mr. Snake Stick. You can't just walk in here with that 1920s villain energy and start threatening people. Do you have an appointment? Did you sign in at the front desk? Lianhe turned his cold gaze toward Mingyu. And who is this, loud-mouthed insect? Your new pet. I'm the chief executive assistant. Mingyu barked, stepping in front of Leon. And if you want to take everything, you'll have to start with the snack cabinet, because that's the most valuable thing here. Also, your suit is tacky. It's too shiny. You look like a cheap disco ball. Leon grabbed Mingyu's collar. Mingyu, get back. This man is a master of the 5 venoms. He can kill you with a thought. He can't kill me. I have the power of labor laws on my side. Mingyu shouted. He reached into his bag and pulled out a heavy, glass-bottled, ultra-glow, facial mist he'd bought during his lunch break. Stay back, or I'll hydrate you to death. Lianhe roared in fury, raising his cane to cast a dark shadow curse. Black smoke began to swirl around the room, freezing the air. The directors screamed and ran for the exits. Die, Xie Lianhe. Lianhe screamed, launching a bolt of dark energy. Leon prepared to summon his spiritual shield, but he was 0.5 seconds too slow because his world's best boss mug was in the way. Suddenly, Mingyu slipped on a stray boba pearl. Wah! Mingyu tumbled forward, his arms flailing. As he fell, he accidentally sprayed the ultra-glow facial mist directly into Xie Lianhe's eyes. My eyes! It burns! Lianhe shrieked, the dark energy bolt veering off course and hitting a decorative lucky cat statue instead. The statue began to wave its paw at 300 miles per hour, creating a miniature windstorm. It's alcohol-free but contains high concentrations of vitamin C. Mingyu yelled from the floor. It's great for pores, but terrible for dark mages. Leon didn't miss the opening. He leapt over the desk, his hand glowing with celestial white light. He pressed his palm against Helen's chest, sealing the villain's meridians. The dark smoke vanished instantly. Helen slumped against the wall, blinded by facial mist and paralyzed by immortal power. You got lucky, Leon. But you don't realize, she's not the only one who came back. The great conspiracy of the elders didn't end with her death. They are watching you. They are watching him. Helen glanced at Mingyu, his eyes narrowing through the stinging mist. A man. How clever of the heavens. A perfect disguise for the soul of a saint, or a weapon. Lianhe's heart froze. What do you mean, a weapon? But Helen only laughed hoarsely before biting a hidden jade charm. In a puff of green smoke, he vanished, leaving only the scent of sulfur and Mingyu's facial mist behind. The aftermath. The office was a wreck. The lucky cat was still waving its paw so fast it was smoking. Leon turned to Mingyu, who was busy trying to salvage his spilled boba. Mingyu, you could have been killed. Why did you jump in front of me? Mingyu looked up, his face smudged with dust, but his eyes were unusually serious. I don't know, boss. My body just moved. It felt like I've done it 1,000 times before. Like, oh, here we go again, saving the grumpy guy from the guy with the stick. He laughed it off and went back to his boba. Anyway, you owe me a new facial mist. That stuff was $40. Leon looked at the spirit-seeking jade. It wasn't just glowing, it was pulsing with a rhythmic, steady beat, like a second heart. He saved me, Leon thought. Just like she did in the Immortal Realm when the elders attacked. The soul hasn't changed at all. It's still as brave, and as incredibly stupid, as ever. Mingyu, Leon said, his voice unusually warm. Yeah, from now on, you are not allowed to be more than 1 meter away from me. Whoa, clingy much. Mingyu grinned. Does this mean I get a raise? It means, Leon sighed, that I need to make sure you don't slip on any more boba while the world is trying to end. The tension in the office had shifted. After the encounter with Xie Xie Lianhe could no longer pretend this was just a corporate comedy of errors. The past was clawing its way into the present, and Su Mingyu, clumsy, loud, boba-addicted Mingyu, was right in the crosshairs. Leon decided it was time. He took Mingyu to his private penthouse, a place that looked less like a bachelor pad and more like a museum of ancient Chinese artifacts. Leon stood by a floor-to-ceiling window, the moonlight reflecting off his cold, handsome features. Mingyu, sit down. What I am about to tell you violates every law of modern science. Mingyu sat, but not before testing the squishiness of a 1,000-year-old silk cushion. Is this the part where you tell me you're an alien? Or a secret government agent? Because I already guessed you're a vampire based on your skin routine. I am an immortal cultivator, Leon said, his voice heavy with 800 years of gravity. I was the supreme sword of Kunlun. And you are the reincarnation of the only soul I ever loved. 800 years ago, you were a woman named Shaoran. You were killed by a conspiracy, and I have waited through dynasties for your return. Silence. Leon braced himself for tears, for a spiritual awakening, or perhaps a profound silence. Instead, Mingyu let out a snort that turned into a full-blown, cackling roar of laughter. He laughed so hard he fell off the silk cushion. Oh man. Mingyu gasped for air, wiping tears from his eyes. Boss, that is the best, get out of a raise, story I've ever heard. You, a god, me, a dead girl. I can't even handle a spicy noodle challenge, let alone a celestial conspiracy. Mingyu, I am serious. Lianhe's eyes glowed with a faint gold light. The stone, the spirit-seeking jade, it reacts only to you. Mingyu stood up, smirking, and walked right into Lianhe's personal space. So, what you're saying is, in a past life, I was your beautiful, gentle lady love. He fluttered his eyelashes mockingly. Did you write me poems? Did we hold hands under the cherry blossoms? Did you cry when I died, Mr. Ice King? Leon flinched, the memory of Shaoran dying in his arms stabbing at his chest. I did. I almost destroyed the world for you. Mingyu's smirk softened for a split second when he saw the genuine pain in Lianhe's eyes, but his defense mechanism was humor. He leaned in closer, his nose almost touching Lianhe's. Well, hubby, I hate to break it to you, but your wife now has a gym membership he never uses and a serious addiction to online gaming. You sure you don't want a refund on this soul? Leon pushed him back by the forehead, his face flushed. You are infuriating. And because you are a magnet for trouble, you are going to learn how to defend yourself. Tomorrow, 5 a.m. The next morning, Leon took Mingyu to a private dojo. But they weren't alone. Chen Wei, the vice president, was there too. Chen Wei had been practicing martial arts for years to impress Leon. President Xie, I heard you were teaching self-defense, Chen Wei said, looking sleek in his black karate gi. Perhaps I can help. I'm a third-degree black belt. Leon nodded curtly. Fine. Demonstrate a basic throw on Mr. Su. Chen Wei, who was still a little salty about the boba pizza incident, smiled. He grabbed Mingyu's arm. Don't worry, Mingyu. I'll be gentle. Flip. Mingyu landed on the mat with a loud thud. Oof. My tailbone. Chen, that was personal. Leon felt a strange, hot prickle in his chest. Seeing someone else lay hands on Mingyu, even for training, made his spiritual energy grow turbulent. My turn, Leon said, his voice dropping an octave. He stepped onto the mat. Instead of throwing Mingyu, he moved behind him, wrapping his arms around Mingyu's waist and chest to adjust his stance. Your center of gravity is too high, Leon whispered into Mingyu's ear. Mingyu froze. The teasing remarks died in his throat. He could feel the heat radiating from Lianhe's body, the strength in those arms that had supposedly held him 800 years ago. For the first time, the joke didn't feel like a joke. Ah, boss, my center of gravity is fine. It's my heart rate that's getting weird, Mingyu joked weakly. Focus, Leon commanded, though his own heart was thundering. Now, Leon said, stepping back. Try to channel your chi. Imagine a warm fire in your belly. Focus it into your palm and strike the training dummy. Mingyu closed his eyes. He scrunched his face up so hard he looked like he was trying to solve a complex math problem while constipated. Okay, fire in the belly, fire in the belly. Ha! Mingyu lunged forward and slapped the wooden dummy. Nothing happened. I don't feel any fire, boss. Just a little bit of heartburn from those breakfast tacos. Again. Leon shouted. Mingyu tried again, but he tripped over his own feet, did a clumsy pirouette, and accidentally slapped Chen Wei across the face instead of the dummy. Oh my god. Chen, I'm so sorry. Mingyu scrambled to help the VP, who was now holding a reddening cheek. Leon sighed, rubbing his temples. How was she so graceful, and he is, this? Boss, look. Mingyu suddenly pointed at the spirit-seeking jade sitting on a nearby bench. The stone wasn't just glowing. It was flashing like a disco ball. Leon looked at Mingyu. The boy was laughing again, helping Chen Wei up, his soul radiating a warmth that filled the entire room. You don't believe me yet, Leon murmured to himself. But your soul remembers. Every time you smile, the world feels a little less dark. Mingyu turned back to Leon, a mischievous glint in his eyes. Hey, if I'm your reincarnated wife, does that mean you have to pay for my Netflix subscription? It's only fair, right? 800 years of back pay. Get back on the mat, you ridiculous man. Leon shouted, but for the first time in centuries, he was actually struggling to hide a laugh. The business trip to the misty peaks of the Wangshen Mountains was supposed to be a high-level site inspection for a new luxury resort. At least, that's what the itinerary said. In reality, Xie Lianhe was following a spiritual trail that had been cold for 8 centuries. Boss, why are we climbing a mountain at 4 a.m.? Su Mingyu wheezed, clutching a walking stick in one hand and a bag of spicy crackers in the other. I'm a city boy. My natural habitat is a swivel chair near a power outlet. The air here is thick with spiritual energy, Mingyu, Leon said, moving up the steep stone steps with the grace of a cloud. It's good for your heartburn, Qi. As they reached the summit, they stood before the ruins of an ancient temple, the Temple of Eternal Frost. This was where Leon and Shaoran had spent their last happy summer. Leon stopped before a massive, seamless stone wall covered in ancient moss. This is it, the hidden chamber of Kunlun. Inside are the sacred texts and the artifacts of the Supreme Cultivator. For 800 years, no one has been able to open it. It requires the twin heart seal, two people with perfectly synchronized souls. Mingyu squinted at the wall. It looks like a big rock, boss. Are you sure you didn't just forget your keys? Watch, Leon commanded. He placed his hand on the stone. A golden sigil appeared, but it flickered and died. It needs the other half. It needs her. Mingyu rolled his eyes. Fine, fine. I'll play along with your ancient mystery roleplay. He stepped up to the wall. Do I have to say a magic word? Like, open sesame, or, I want a raise. Just place your hand there, Leon said, his heart pounding. Mingyu leaned against the wall, but because he was exhausted from the climb, he didn't just place his hand, he stumbled. His palm slapped the stone, and his forehead hit the wall with a dull thunk. Ouch! Stupid rock, Mingyu barked, kicking the base of the wall with his sneaker. Suddenly, the mountain groaned. The spirit-seeking jade around Lianhe's neck erupted in a light so blinding it turned the morning mist into pure gold. The stone wall didn't just open, it melted away like mist. Wait, what? Mingyu scrambled back, nearly tripping over his own feet. I was just kidding. I didn't mean to break your mountain. Leon stood frozen. The seal, it didn't just open. It welcomed you. They stepped into the cavern. It was filled with glowing crystals and ancient scrolls. In the center stood a pedestal holding a beautiful, translucent jade zither and a set of silver hairpins. Lianhe's eyes softened. Those belong to her. To you. Mingyu walked toward the hairpins, his usual jokes dying in his throat. He reached out, his fingers trembling. As he touched the silver metal, a sudden flash of a memory hit him, not a thought, but a feeling. The smell of plum blossoms. The sound of a deep, loving voice calling a name. Leon, Mingyu whispered. Leon turned, hope leaping in his chest. You remember. Mingyu blinked, the moment breaking. He suddenly pulled his hand back and started scratching his head. I remember that I left my stove on at home. Yeah, that's it. Man, this place is dusty. It's giving me hallucinations. You're lying, Leon said, stepping closer, pinning Mingyu against the pedestal. Your soul just called my name. Not, boss. Not, Ice King. Leon. Before Mingyu could deflect with another joke, a deep, booming voice echoed through the chamber. WHO disturbs the sanctum of the Supreme One. A massive, spectral guardian lion, made of pure blue energy, manifested in the center of the room. It roared, the shockwave knocking Mingyu's bag of crackers out of his hand. A ghost cat. Mingyu shrieked, diving behind Leon. Boss. Do the thing. Use the sturdy ego powers. Leon drew a shimmering blade of light. Stay behind me, Mingyu. The guardian lion lunged, but then it stopped midair, its giant nose sniffing the air near Mingyu. Its glowing eyes widened. Wait, that scent. That annoying, chaotic, boba-flavored scent. The lion transformed into a small, chubby spectral kitten and floated over to Mingyu, rubbing its head against his shin. It's the lady. The kitten squeaked in a high-pitched voice. The lady has returned. But, why does she have such hairy legs and a deep voice? Mingyu looked down at the spirit kitten. Hey, I'll have you know I'm a very handsome man. And who are you calling, lady, you oversized blue marshmallow? Leon dropped his light blade, speechless. Even the temple guardians recognize you. Mingyu, give it up. You are the one. Mingyu looked at the kitten, then at the ancient hairpins, and finally at Leon. The mockery was gone. The humor had drained away, leaving a young man who looked genuinely overwhelmed. If I'm really her, Mingyu said softly, his voice cracking. Then I died and left you alone for 800 years. That's a long time to wait for a disaster like me, Leon. Leon reached out, his hand hovering over Mingyu's cheek before he finally gathered the courage to touch him. I would have waited 8,000 years. You were worth every second. Mingyu felt a tear prick his eye, but he quickly wiped it away and sniffled. Okay, okay. Too much drama. My skin is getting oily from the humidity. He grabbed the silver hairpins and shoved them into his pocket. I'm keeping these. They look expensive. Consider it my bonus for the business trip. Leon smiled, a real, radiant smile that could have lit up the entire mountain. Fine, but you still have to finish the site inspection report by Monday. You're a demon, Mingyu yelled, running out of the cave with the spirit kitten chasing his heels. A handsome, immortal demon. The atmosphere in Shanghai had turned heavy, the air thick with the scent of ozone and ancient incense. The conspiracy of elders was no longer a shadow, it was a storm front. Xie Lianhe stood in his penthouse, his modern suit replaced by his traditional white cultivation robes, glowing with a cold, celestial light. Beside him, Su Mingyu was panicking, wearing a tactical outfit consisting of a motorcycle helmet, a neon puffer jacket, and a backpack full of salt and mirrors. Boss, if we die, I want you to know I cleared my browser history. Mingyu shouted, clutching a wooden broom he'd tried to bless with boba tea. The floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse shattered simultaneously. 3 figures floated into the room, draped in robes of shifting starlight. These were the High Elders of the Jade Court, the very men who had ordered Shaoran's death 800 years ago. Xie Lianhe, the lead elder, Elder Feng, boomed. His voice vibrated in Mingyu's teeth. You have harbored a forbidden soul for too long. The balance of the realms demands her, or his, erasure. Leon stepped forward, his sword Moon Slayer appearing in his hand as a streak of silver lightning. You killed her once. You will not touch him while I draw breath. Wait, wait, wait. Mingyu stepped out from behind Leon, flipping his visor up. Erasure. Do you guys have any idea how much paperwork that is? I'm an executive assistant. I know the system. You can't just erase a citizen without a 30-day notice and at least 3 HR meetings. Elder Feng squinted at Mingyu. The soul has degraded. It is loud. It is offensive. It smells of artificial sugar. It's called brown sugar milk tea, you old fossil. Mingyu yelled. He grabbed a handful of salt from his pocket and threw it at the elder. Be gone, bad vibes. The salt did absolutely nothing. Elder Feng sighed and waved a hand, sending a blast of wind that knocked Mingyu backward into a pile of designer cushions. Leon roared, engaging all 3 elders at once. The penthouse became a whirlwind of golden sword strikes and black shadow magic. Walls crumbled, and expensive art was vaporized. Mingyu, run! Leon shouted, parrying a strike that cracked the floor. Go to the elevator. Use the spirit-seeking jade to hide your aura. But Mingyu didn't run. He watched as Leon took a hit to the shoulder, blood staining the white robes. He saw the Ice King, the man who had waited 800 years for him, beginning to falter against the combined strength of the heavens. Leon! Mingyu screamed. Suddenly, the spirit-seeking jade around Lianhe's neck shattered. The shards didn't fall, they flew toward Mingyu, embedding themselves into his chest, not as wounds, but as light. The room went silent. A pillar of crimson and gold light erupted from Mingyu. The motorcycle helmet flew off, and his messy hair lengthened, glowing with an ethereal sheen. The seal, Elder Feng whispered, his face turning pale. It wasn't a spirit-seeking stone. It was a spirit-storing stone. He wasn't just waiting for her, he was carrying her power. Mingyu stood up, his eyes no longer panicked but filled with an ancient, terrifying calm. He looked at his hands, then at the elders. You guys, Mingyu said, his voice overlapping with a soft, feminine echo, the voice of Shaoran. You really have a problem with boundaries, don't you? He didn't use a sword. He simply pointed at the elders. A wave of pure, unadulterated spiritual energy, the kind that only a mortal soul tempered by 800 years of reincarnation could possess, blasted outward. Whoa! Mingyu's voice snapped back to normal as the elders were blown out of the penthouse like ragdolls, sent spiraling into the clouds. Did I do that? I felt like a superhero for a second. Did you see that? Boss. I was like pew pew. The light faded. Mingyu collapsed, his hair shortening back to his usual messy style. Lian rushed to him, catching him before he hit the glass-strewn floor. Mingyu, look at me. Lianhe's hands were shaking. Mingyu opened one eye and coughed. Boss, I think I just saw my life flash before my eyes. There were a lot of snacks. And a lot of you. Mostly you. He reached up and touched Lianhe's cheek, his touch lingering this time. I remember the zither, Lian. I remember the cherry blossoms. But, I'm still Mingyu. Is that okay? Can I be both? Lian pressed his forehead against Mingyu's, tears finally falling. I don't want a goddess. I don't want a memory. I want the man who throws salt at elders and drinks too much boba. I want you. Mingyu smiled, then his eyes went wide. Wait, if I'm a powerful immortal soul now, does that mean I don't have to pay my credit card debt? Lian laughed through his sobs. We'll see, Mingyu. We'll see. The aftermath of the celestial battle at the Xie Lianhe Group headquarters looked like a scene from a big-budget disaster movie. Glass littered the streets of Shanghai, and the top 3 floors of the skyscraper were missing several walls. However, for Xie Lianhe, the world had never looked clearer. Boss, I've managed to convince the insurance company that the golden lightning was actually a very rare atmospheric phenomenon called localized sun sneeze, Su Mingyu said, slapping a thick folder onto Lianhe's new mahogany desk. Mingyu was back to his chaotic self, though his hair seemed a bit shinier, and he occasionally accidentally levitated his coffee cup when he got excited. Lian looked up from a blueprint. And the employees? Did they accept the explanation for the flying elders? Oh, Chen handled that. Mingyu grinned. He told them it was an experimental 7D holographic marketing stunt. Most of them were too busy eating the I survived the Sky War donuts I ordered to ask questions. Lian stood up, walking around the desk. The office was quieter now, the sun setting behind the restored glass. He caught Mingyu's hand. Mingyu, no more business. Tonight, we have an appointment. Mingyu's face turned a shade of pink that matched his strawberry boba. The date, like a real one. With candles and stuff, not just us eating leftovers while you talk about the Song dynasty. A real one, Lian promised. Lian had rented out the most exclusive rooftop restaurant in the city. He wore a traditional hanfu under his trench coat, and Mingyu had actually managed to put on a tie without strangling himself. The mood was perfect. Violins were playing. The city lights twinkled like fallen stars. Lian, Mingyu said, staring at the tiny, expensive portion of Wagyu beef on his plate. I'm touched. Really. But I think I just ate $300 in one bite and I'm still hungry. Lian laughed, the sound rich and free. Then let's go. 5 minutes later, the Supreme Cultivator and his reincarnated soulmate were sitting on a plastic bench at a 24-hour street stall, eating spicy crawfish and drinking cheap beer. Now this is a date. Mingyu cheered, his face messy with sauce. He accidentally gestured too wildly with a crawfish, and a drop of spicy oil flew straight into Lianhe's eye. Gah, my vision. Lian recoiled, clutching his face. Oh no, my husband is blinded by spice. Mingyu shrieked, grabbing a napkin and accidentally dipping it into his beer before rubbing it on Lianhe's face. Wait, beer in the eye. That's worse. I'm so sorry. Lian sat there, smelling like a brewery, his eye red, watching Mingyu panic. He started to chuckle, then roar with laughter. 800 years of waiting, and I get spicy beer in my eye. It's perfect, Mingyu. It's exactly how it should be. They returned to the penthouse, the air between them shifting from playful to heavy with a heat that had been simmering for centuries. As the door clicked shut, the humor faded. Lian pressed Mingyu against the cool wood of the door, his hands framing Mingyu's face. I spent lifetimes dreaming of this moment, Lian whispered, his voice vibrating with a raw, ancient hunger. Of seeing you, touching you, knowing you were real. Mingyu's breath hitched. He reached up, his fingers tangling in the long, silky strands of Lianhe's hair. I'm right here, Lian. I'm not going anywhere. Not this time. Lian leaned down, his lips brushing against Mingyu's in a kiss that tasted of salt, beer, and a devotion that transcended time. It wasn't the gentle kiss of a scholar and a lady, It was the desperate, passionate claim of two souls finally reuniting. They moved toward the bedroom, clothes discarded in a trail across the floor, modern silk ties mixing with ancient jade pendants. In the moonlight, their bodies were a contrast of pale skin and shadows. Lian laid Mingyu back against the silk sheets, his hands tracing every inch of Mingyu's skin as if he were memorizing a sacred text. "You are so beautiful," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "Even with the hairy legs." Mingyu whispered, trying to break the tension, but his voice trembled as Lianhe's lips found the sensitive skin of his neck. "Especially the legs," Lian growled softly, nipping at his collarbone. The night became a blur of whispered promises and rhythmic, heated motion. Lian moved with a slow, agonizing tenderness at first, worshipping the soul he had lost, before the intensity built into a fever pitch. Mingyu arched beneath him, his fingers digging into Lianhe's back, his cries echoing in the quiet room. In that moment, the 800-year gap vanished. There was no past, no future, only the friction of skin against skin and the overwhelming light of their joined spirits. As the first light of dawn touched the Shanghai skyline, Mingyu lay sprawled across Lianhe's chest, his head resting right over the spot where the stone used to be. "Lian," Mingyu murmured sleepily. "Yes, my heart. Does this mean I'm officially the boss of the company now? Since I'm the lady of the house?" Lian smiled, kissing the top of Mingyu's messy head. "You've always been the boss, Mingyu. I was just the one holding the sword." Mingyu hummed contentedly. "Good. Because tomorrow, we're installing a boba fountain in the lobby. And a cat cafe on the 49th floor." Lian sighed, closing his eyes, a peaceful smile on his face. "As you wish, my love. As you wish." The Supreme Cultivator had finally found his peace, not in a mountain temple, and not in the clouds of the Immortal Realm, but in the arms of a loud, messy, wonderful man in the heart of a city that never sleeps. The end.